jazz guy. The music was silent for more than 18 months. What have you been doing during all that time?
Well, after the Flesh and Blood album, which was the last LP we put out, we did a lot of touring, more than we ever have done before, in fact. I think about 6 months on the road. And after that, all that kind of playing of music, sort of being involved with the whole kind of music world at such an intense level, you need some time to kind of recharge the batteries.
Yes, you released Jealous Guy something like 2 or 3 months after the murder of John Lennon. It was a tribute. Was he really a hero of yours?
Oh yeah, very much so. He was my favorite English artist in that medium. My favorite English singer, if you like, and songwriter. And when he died so suddenly and so tragically, we were about to do a big concert in Germany, a television show called Rock Palace. And we wanted to do something special for that show, and it seemed that was the obvious thing to do a tribute to John. And that was a song that I particularly liked.
If you don't mind, we go through a little history, and first your personal history. As it says in the books, you're coming from a very poor family in Newcastle, but at the same time you always were sort of a dandy, even very young. Can you explain all that?
From a very early age. Maybe because I used to work in a tailor shop when I was at school for pocket money, and I was just always very interested in how everything looked. I mean, look at this marvelous building. I love this. I love the design of houses, cars, clothes, everything. I was trained to be a painter, and I found the transition from producing paintings and producing records a very easy one to make, really.
What do you really feel in common with the people on Vogue magazine?
Very little, I think. I know 1 or 2 photographers who work in that area, and they're sort of talented people. It's always the talent that draws me, you know, to people. Talent and humor is how I kind of like to relate to people.
As the English journalist Tony Parsons once mentioned, you and probably David Bowie were the ones responsible to teach to an entire generation how to become snobs. What's your comment on that?
Well, I hope he meant it in the best sense. I'd never like to think of myself as a snob in the conventional sense at all. But certainly I believe in quality and standards, you know, of good and bad, universal standards of quality. And both in work and in general attitudes and behavior, I suppose. I guess when I was at school, I might have been a bit of an intellectual snob.
As far as songwriting is concerned, what's your style becoming over the years? More abstract, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's becoming more refined, I think. I still find it fairly easy to write a melody that people like, I think. But the words become more and more refined, as you say, and I like them, and they're kind of little mood pieces. It's great when other people like them as well. If they become popular, it's good. I find it very hard to analyze them. They're usually things you feel at the time, and it's sometimes too easy to over-intellectualize about them. Sometimes I mix up styles, and at the end of the day, it usually sounds like me, so it ends up being my style.
In 1970, you had the concept of Roxy music. I suppose it was a reaction against something. And why did you choose that particular name?
It wasn't really so much of a reaction against existing things. Although I suppose it might be in the sense that I felt that most of the music that was being played then didn't interest me very much, and I very much wanted to do my own thing, and I guess it just came out sounding a bit different from what was around at the time, because one of the reasons for that, I think, was that I started so late, comparatively speaking. I think I was about 25 when I made the first record, and all my kind of influences and so on had a chance to be absorbed by me, and I think what came out seemed a bit different. I was much more interested in, I suppose, the visual side of things, and also trying to combine body music and head music.
The story of Roxy Music is not only of music but also of visuals, and you always directed more the covers of your LPs and singles, up to the Rossetti cover of More Than This, or the neoclassicism of Flesh and Blood. Could you describe the changing of styles?
Yes, the first cover, I felt just started off this whole kind of stream of things. Everything is relative to the first cover, really, for the first Roxy Music album. At that time, people used to put the group, a photograph of the group on the cover, everybody standing in the street looking really miserable or something. And I wanted something more attractive, something, just prettier, which I hope would perhaps sell more records. I didn't think our faces would sell records. And so we put this beautiful girl on the cover, and it became a kind of emblem for the group. The next cover was For Your Pleasure. I made it slightly different with this girl in this very kind of exotic situation with the chauffeur, the Cadillac, and the Black Panther. And then that led to the third one. I said, well, I'm going to put this girl in the jungle. And so it goes on till Manifesto. I put two girls in with a lot of mannequins, a lot of kind of shop window dummies. This kind of strange party it was with non-real people. And after that, I felt a good kind of idea would have been to have these girls totally away from drink, drugs, and nightclubs and stiletto heels, and put them in this kind of very athletic, very stark, almost Lenny Riefenstahl kind of situation, these kind of Aryan girls with javelins.
And what's the idea behind the cover of Avalon?
Well, I did that photograph on the west coast of Ireland, which is the most beautiful kind of sort of barren landscape. It's very romantic as well, with these kind of very still waters, these lakes. And that's where I'd started doing the album, listening to tapes that I'd made, sketches for songs, which I put onto little tapes and listened to on a head machine, and I was rowing myself around this lake listening to these tapes for weeks. And I felt when the album was finished, which we'd made in New York, it would be nice to go back and do the cover in Ireland. And it just suited the mood of some of the songs very well. It has this kind of old English, Celtic feel, which is very different from any of the other Roxy covers.